What's good? All right. So what I wanted to do is I want to break down because this misconception that Lyft drivers are making a lot of money, Uber drivers are making a lot of money. I'm going to break this down to show you guys that this is not necessarily true. And in most drivers' cases, yes, sometimes in their markets they are making pretty good money, but not every market is the same way. There may be about 5 or 6 markets in the United States where drivers are making a decent wage. As you can see right here, it is showing so far for the month of April that I have made $2,032.11. I'm going to scroll and show you it is April 21st. So some people may think that that's good. You still have 9 more days to get your money. And so you should end off the month with about 3,000 or over. I'm going to show you this is way off. All right, so if you look down here to the bottom left, you can see that it's showing $28.78 per booked hour. Understand this, on Lyft and Uber, there's booked hour and then there's the time that you spent online. Every hour that you're online, you're not booked for rides. Some hours are just slow. And then other times you are declining rides because they're not paying enough to complete a particular trip that they're sending to you. So as you can see, for the month of April, I have completed 204 trips. And as you can also see, I've rejected 328 trips. I've been online for 84 hours and 27 minutes. And then my book time is 66 hours and 3 minutes. So again, that book time was the total time passengers were at. I was heading to passengers to pick them up and to drop them off. So based off of that information, as you can see, since I was only booked for 66 hours and 3 minutes, then there's 18 hours that I was online in my car, most of that time with my car running, waiting for a ride request that I can accept, where there is going to be profitability or at least a decent or fair amount of money to be paid to me to complete that trip. 18 hours with nobody in my car. 18 hours not heading to passengers. 18 unpaid hours. 18 unpaid hours. So let's go and look at what they were showing. $28.78 was my hourly amount, right? So $28.78 multiplied by $18. That's $518 that I was not making during that time that I was just online waiting for a decent trip. So it was no shortage on trips. On average, you're going to receive 3 to 5 trips per hour, but and honestly, it's more than that. I would say about 5 to maybe 7 trips per hour is what I normally would see. But sometimes I can only accept 2 or 3 trips because the payout for the ride was not sufficient, meaning I would end up losing money to pick up that passenger or to drop that passenger off based off of the total distance that that passenger is traveling. So $518, that's maybe not be a lot of money in some people's cases, but it is the total amount that should have been paid to me if I was being paid by the hour. But it's not. A lot of people are out here thinking that all of the drivers are getting all this money. First and foremost, you may have paid let's say $18 for a trip. You may have paid that $18. But if you were traveling 3 miles, the driver got base pay off of that. If you were traveling 4 or even 5 miles, the driver may have only gotten $3.15 or as much as maybe $3.85 for that, depending on the market we're talking about. Okay, but again, you paid 18. Now, you watch Risser on media talking about drivers. We try to pay drivers 70% of the fare. One, it's a try. Secondly, he said after fees. So they're going to take out commercial auto insurance. No, they don't pay our insurance. We have to have our own insurance, and we also have to tell our insurance companies that we're going to be using our vehicle for rideshare. This increases our rates. So that means that our spending for the month, not only for gas, because Lyft does not contribute to the cost of gas, Uber does not contribute to the cost of gas. We still have to carry our own personal insurance, and they're still going to take money off each one of the fares for your commercial auto insurance for that ride. So if the driver gets to the accident, you can get your medical bills paid, maybe some pain and suffering if the accident was on the driver, but you should be able to get it from the other person's insurance. However, at the same time, all of the money that you see that you're spending, it is not going to the driver. Lyft and Uber would not be multi-million-dollar companies in the hundreds of millions or billions if they were keeping all of if they were keeping all of the money. Sorry, I meant if they were paying us all of the money. I've had some young people in my car, even some older people in my car, who stated that they thought that we got all the fare. And I really felt like calling them idiots for thinking that. Like, how in the heck can these companies even exist if they were paying us all of the money? And some people say, oh, well, I thought it was, most of the money. They just the app. I don't see how they would need to take that much. Well, yeah, there's commercial auto insurance. They also have to pay a corporate tax on each dollar. Corporate tax is more than what traditionally you would pay on your taxes for each dollar that you make. So again, this goes back and I'm referencing the fact that drivers are not getting all the money that you think. And if you're trying to drive for Lyft or Uber, you have to understand you got to pay for your own gas. You also have to tell your insurance company that you're going to be using your car for business purposes. So your rates are going to go up. So not only are you paying extra for commercial auto insurance for your car, you're paying extra for your insurance, but you're also going to be losing money from the fares because of commercial auto insurance. So that's a double whammy. Your cost per month for insurance, and they're taking money out of each one of your rides. All right. So you also have to look at the fact that out of the $2,032.11, number one, yesterday, this right here, it was a ride challenge. I got $110. I think it was 60 or 65 rides. I believe it was 65 rides that I had to complete. So that 110, it would not be included in what I've made so far this month if it wasn't for me completing that ride challenge, which I barely made it. The last rider almost messed me, not the last rider, but the one before it almost messed me up. Plus my phone decided to update. And at that time it was 4:55 a.m. And I was sitting here, oh my God, like why? And I was frustrated, I was pissed off, and I was hoping that I was still going to be able to make it, which I was able to get back online at 4:58. And they did send me a ride request at 4:59. I accepted it, and it was beautiful because the person was only traveling, I think, like 1.8 miles or something like that. They wasn't traveling very far. And usually they do not send you a ride request where it's going to be a low amount of miles or anything. And I was paid extra on that particular trip. So on this trip here, as you can see, the trip was 3 miles. So I put the total of 5.76 miles on my car, and I was paid $8.15. Now, again, on this particular trip here, it was included a $2 bonus. It was a $2 bonus that was on there. So the total amount that Lyft had offered me was $6.15. And normally, for a ride that's 3.02 miles, they normally would only pay $3 in my market. Now, if it's not a lot of drivers online, or someone chooses to pay the priority fee, which we don't get any of that. However, if they're trying to get a person a ride because they've been waiting too long, they will offer more money of the fare as far as what they're taking from the fare. So with all of this being said, I'm just basically trying to spread around and help people understand whether they can make money doing this or if they're going to lose money doing this, because we're not paid to pick passengers up. there is a lot of chances where you're going to lose money if you just decide, I'm going to go ahead and take this ride, man. I got to make something. Now, I did want to show you this. You can see right here that I have the year selected. And so far this year, $12,994. But here's what I really want to show you, and it's down here in this box right here. What I want to show you is this number right here. Notice, rides rejected. Rides you missed, declined, or canceled. 2,138 rides rejected. If this was profitable, if you can make money on every ride, why would I have needed to reject so many rides only 4 months into the year? And I have almost double the rides that I completed, almost double that in rejected rides. Almost double in rejected rides. That is a lot of rides to be rejecting. A lot of rides that were paying out $3, but yet I had to put 4.5 miles on my car in order to do it. And that's just taking the passenger where they need to get to. Putting 4.5 miles on my car. You know, when you factor in 6 mile pickup, now do you see why this is not profitable in most of the rides? Because of stuff like that. If I could stay busy during my time online, I would be happy with what you're seeing here, where it's saying for the year, my average is about $30.28, and that's on an hour. So if I could be online for 10 hours a day and make $30.28, then that's $302.80 that I would be making if I could consistently for 10 hours make that amount of money. And, you know, just to show you my goal on an hourly, because every hour, you know, some hours are busy, some hours are not busy. And during busy hours, they pay just a little bit extra, around about 15 to 25 cents extra on each ride. But if I can make that in just 10 hours, then yes, I'll be making $216. My goal is $260 a day. 40 is going back in my gas tank, right? So $216, if I can make that in 10 hours, 2 hours, I'm going to be, you know, that's the time spending waiting for rides and everything. So again, I'll still drive be out for 12 hours. And at least I'll make the $216 in 10 hours. So, you know, if I could just be online for 10 hours and make $216, I'd be somewhat happy. But like I said before, the goal is $260. And so I need to actually make, in 10 hours, I need to make the $260. So that's between waiting and driving to passengers. I need to make the $260. I need that 2 hours. And the reason why I need that 2 hours is because we got, you know, in between a 12-hour shift, you have to take a 6-hour break. So that 12 hours is consecutive. Even if you take a 3-hour break in between it, then go back online, nope. Now you're going to be spending a total of 15 hours, even with the 3-hour break included. You're looking at 15 hours to try to make your money. So you really got to do it consistently. And it's not like you can just take a nap and then go ahead and go online whenever you get a ride request, you know, and there be a half-hour nap. No. If it's slow out, you're going to get rides because other drivers are rejecting those rides. You're going to get rides because somebody, well, it's the same scenario, but somebody doesn't want to go to a certain area or whatever. So it's not like we can sit and just take naps in our car. It's not like the time that we're not giving rides isn't included in our drive time or any of that. It's just 12 hours flat, and if you take any breaks in between, your time is not going to reset until you actually finish. Until you're offline, a total of 6 hours. Now, the other problem with this is that you have passengers who book rides and they are not ready. The easy thing about this app and the ability for passengers to know how long it's going to be before they get a driver. However, some people, they don't pay the priority. They go for the wait and save. So the wait and save may show you'll get a driver and, the driver be there in 15 minutes. But see, the drivers don't like the payout of the rides. So they're rejecting the rides that are in the queue. So what do you think happens? Now, instead of you having to wait for 15 minutes, the driver will be there in 3 minutes. Might be right down the street from you, and they'll be there in 1 minute. Please stop requesting rides and you are not ready. Because I can promise you 90% of the time, from the hours of 7 a.m. all the way to the hours of 11 or 12 p.m., you're gonna get a ride a lot quicker than what they're showing on the wait and save. I mean, on the a lot quicker than what they're showing on the wait and save. So if it says 15 minutes, you can expect that you may have a driver to get there in 3 minutes or 5 minutes. So to request a ride when you're not ready, and then you get into our car and say, hey, my bad, man, they said that you wasn't going to be here for 15 minutes. The first thing that we do when we get a ride request is we check how many rides you've taken, how long you've been on the app. Here's an example. This person has 100 plus rides. They have a 5-star rating, and they've been on the app for the total of 8 months. So the first thing that pops in their head is that this person knows what it is. They know that if they chose to wait and save, they can get a ride a lot quicker. Well, not quicker, but it's possible to get a ride a lot quicker because drivers are cherry picking. This person knows that when they hit the wait and save and it's saying 15 minutes, that drivers may arrive 3 minutes to 5 minutes from that time. Now, if I'm like right down the street and I pull up in 1 minute, I'm kind of okay if a person takes 2 minutes to come out. But once it gets to that 3, maybe 4 or 5 minute mark, I'm about pissed off, because at 5 minutes, I'm supposed to cancel your ride. I'm supposed to cancel it. And I'm going to post a video. It'll be a quick short on what happens if we wait longer at pickups and at stops. But all in all, I expect that this person is going to be ready when I pull up. I don't expect to receive text messages, I'll be out in a few minutes. Or, hey, hold on, I'm on my way out. And most of the time when people say that, they're not even the rider. The account holder booked the ride for somebody else. In this case, this is a person named Mike. Okay, that's a common name. No need to report me to Lyft. Oh, he's telling people the passenger's name. You know how many Mikes there are out here? Let's not go there. But anyway, you request a ride for Sarah, and we're thinking Mike is supposed to be coming out. Sarah doesn't even know we're outside. All right, first and foremost, Mike should have said, hey, the driver will be there in 3 minutes or 5 minutes. The first call, he probably said 15, but then he should have called back and said, hey, the driver's going to be there in like 3 minutes. If she's ignorant enough to be sitting there, oh my God, let me hurry up and get ready. I thought you said 15 minutes. You said 15 minutes. Look, don't act like you ain't never took a Lyft. These companies that did billions of rides. Just about everybody, unless you like just turned 18, just about everybody has taken a ride. Or your parents have taken a ride, so you know that the driver will pull up soon. So we really can't make any excuses for people that are not ready at pickup. Yes, Lyft does give you 5 minutes to, they do give you 5 minutes to get into the car. But understand this, we are under no obligation to wait for you for 5 minutes. We can pull up, and if you're not outside, we can go ahead and we can cancel. The only reason we don't do that, because if we mark you as a no-show, we won't be paid anything. But the moment these apps start saying, hey, if the driver pulls up and you're not in their sight, they can pull up and they can go ahead and they can decline it. And at that point, you're going to be charged on it. Honestly, they should say that, because you know what? People are still going to use the app. Because the moment they say, you know what, I'm not using the app, I'm uninstalling it. They uninstall it, they call the city taxi, and the city taxi says, where are you going? Okay, that's going to be 7 miles, and we'll be able to pick you up in about an hour, but it's going to be $30. You're like, wait, what? Hold on, that's way too high. Now you're going to deal with the app again, because you're not going to pay that much money to get back and forth to work. Yeah, once or twice a week, but you're not going to do it on a daily basis. So you can complain and say I wouldn't use the app if this or that or whatever. Yeah, at the end of the day, yes, you will. You will still use the app. And the thing is that they just simply don't really care about the drivers. And so at the end of the day, drivers are still going to log on. Somebody's going to accept that trip. And based off of that, that is going to be the reason why they're going to continue to do the things that they do. But again, this information right here, we expect that this person would be ready at pickup. Now, when we see somebody that has, like 10 rides and everything, and the pickup is like 2 or 3 minutes from us, we're already thinking like, oh my God, I bet you they not ready. And sure enough, it happens. But when people are not ready, this messes with our bonuses. It messes with our bonuses. We have a certain amount of hours that we have in order to meet a ride challenge that may have 200 rides in it in 4 days. In 4 days, we got 4 days, 200 rides. Do the math. How many rides you got to complete in 4 days each day in order to get that, that hit that 200 rides in that amount of time? I'm sorry, I was just sitting here probably for about 5 or 6 minutes talking, and I just realized I didn't have the video on record. But hopefully I pick it up to where I think I left off, which was in this particular case, if you're a passenger and you had 10 rides, then we will understand that you as an individual, maybe you didn't know that you can get a ride, that the app may not be that accurate, and you can get a ride a lot sooner because drivers may be declining other rides. So whatever's in the queue, if they're rejecting it, now they might get the guy that's around the corner from them. All right, so again, we get it, but at the same time, it's not going to feed our families to sit here and we have to wait this entire time. And just to break everything down, because I don't think that some people are going to understand where I'm coming from. Let's just say as a driver, you have done an average of 40 rides that particular day. So you did 40 rides. Now, out of that 40 rides, about 20, let's give a number and say about 26. 26 people had took 5 minutes apiece to come out and get into your car. That's a total of 130 minutes. It's 60 minutes in an hour. So 2 hours is 120 minutes. So you've been online for 12 hours. But the total of 2 hours was wait time. Wait time. So that doesn't even include the time that you spent inside of your car waiting for decent trips. You see that? 26 rides, an average of 5 minutes. And let's just, let's just say 4 minutes. Because, you come out in 4 minutes. That's 104. So that's an hour and 40 minutes of drive time. If the driver's online for 12 hours, over an hour of their time, almost 2 hours of their time has been wasted at pickup. I know what you're thinking. Well, I thought that they paid y'all for the wait time, not for the first 2 minutes. So if it takes you 4 minutes to come out, we get paid 6 pennies for that whole wait time. 6 pennies. I could have just said 6 cents, but 6 pennies hits home a little bit harder. 6 pennies for the total of 4 minutes that we waited on you as a passenger. It is not worth it. I remember I had this one passenger before, man. I messaged her and said, hey, I'm going to have to leave, if you're not out here in 60 seconds. The lady was like, I thought they gave you 5 minutes wait time. I said, it depends on the driver. Lyft policy may be to give you 5 minutes, but that's a request. That's not a demand. We can still cancel. We just have to endure taking a cancellation on our account. Like me, I have 6 points right now. Max is supposed to be 10, but you can go over 10 on your cancellation, but it's not recommended. They could deactivate your account if you have more than 10 cancels per 100 rides. Now, my 6% is not accurate, and this is me back to talking to drivers right now. My 6% is not accurate at all, because we all know as drivers that when a ride request pops up, they give a little window right here. This will be in a little window. You click on it, or you accept it by swiping. But if you just click on it, it will accept it. Now, there's also 3 dots right here to the left. And you have to, if you are currently in a ride, you have to click on the first dot in order to open up the last ride. So when you click on that to open up the last ride, what happens when you click that last ride? Oftentimes, what happens? In that split instance, they send you a ride request. They send you a ride request. You ain't have to swipe it to accept it or nothing. Because you touched that button. You touched it. You were trying to mark it as last ride, but you touched it. And what they do? They made you accept that ride. And now you got to take a cancellation point. Well, as for me, at the end of the day, this is coming from that bull crap. It's coming from that bull crap. Every blue moon, I accept a ride because it's $16 or $18 payout. And I'm like, man, that's like 3-4 ride equivalents. And I accept it. But then I start to realize that it's not going to be worth it, because in my market, the majority of rides, they start over in this area. I'll say about right up in there. Okay, so it's not profitable for me to end all the way over here, or end even down here at the airport, because it's not that many ride requests at that airport. They might as well make that airport a private airport, because we hardly ever receive any ride requests from that area. But that's a Swanton area, and once you go out there, unless the rider is coming back into your market, you trapped. You got to drive in this market. You have to drive all the way back from this area here. You have to drive all the way back to over here, basically where I'm at right now, or anywhere in the area east of the Swanton Airport. All right, so for instance, I'll just show you. I'll go ahead and I'll click on it, and I'll navigate. That's 11 miles. You're looking at driving 60% of the way back to your market before they even send you a ride request. All right. And it's the same thing if you're out here. Down here is Perrysburg. Below Perrysburg is over here. It's Bowling Greens. Yeah, there it is. There's Bowling Greens. Once you're out in those areas, you get less ride requests. You get less. So it doesn't make any sense to travel too far outside of the Toledo area, and definitely not any sense to come over here in the Michigan area, because all of this is going to mean that you're going to have to drive all the way back from that area down over to the main area, which is here. It's where all of the ride requests happen. It's just not where they all end at. Even up here, sometimes it could be ride requests up here, but they're not going to take you back into the primary market. So anyway, pay attention to your market. You'll see where you can drive, where you can't drive. And a lot of times the app will tell you you're being paid extra because it's slow in the area that you're going to. Problem with the apps is that they don't understand what drivers need to make to be profitable. So a lot of times they're still not offering you good money at all. And I did take a ride that dropped off up here not too long ago, and it was like $40 to drop that person off. So was it worth it? It would have been during the day. But it's not worth it when it's at nighttime and it's after 1 a.m. Yes, it's $40, but I can't remember how many miles it was. I want to say maybe 18 miles. So that was around 14 miles I had to drive back. So that put me at 32 miles on my car for that $40-something. But I was planning on that being my last ride. and that put me a lot closer to my bonus. So not my bonus, but my daily goal. So I ended up doing the ride anyway. Now, it benefited me because the guy gave me a $30 tip also. So I was happy. Come to find out, he delivers DoorDash in his area, which is really slow, and he usually comes into Ohio to make his money during DoorDash. But anyway, I want to end the video off at this point because it's 30 minutes. 9 out of 10 people are not going to get to this part of the video. But hopefully, I've taught you at least a little bit of something. As you can see, you see where the app is actually saying that it's busy right now, but you don't see any hot areas. You don't see any heat maps on here. You don't see nothing that's purple, nothing that's blue or anything like that. I'll even go online. See, it's not popping up. And I knew it. They were going to send me something. And that particular ride it's almost worth it based off of my chart that I have. And my chart, when it comes down, as you can see, I have different charts. And when it comes down to this particular chart, for instance, this is my 45 cent a minute chart. This is based off of when it is busy. So if they send me a ride request for the first 7 minutes, let's say that the person is about 6 or 7 minutes between the pickup and drop off. That's all it's going to take is around 7 minutes. They send me that ride request for about 3:15. I could take that trip because it meets my 45 cent an hour trip. And I have it broke down every single minute. And as you can see, that brings me to $27. Love making 30. Love making over $30 an hour. I love it. But these charts that I have made up, this is to help me consistently make money. So I'm not rejecting rides, and I don't end up at the end of the day missing out on $30, maybe $60 that I could have made in staying busy. Because I'm losing money if I'm just sitting there. Now, sometimes you're making money because you're accepting only certain rides. Oh, I'm not accepting none under 5, which I really usually don't accept anything under 5. And here's why I struggle with the stuff up here in this corner up here. Now, first off, if you don't know about Lyft, they're not paying me nothing under $3. But even if it is a 7-minute ride between pickup and drop off, even if it is a 9, or even if it is a 10-minute, the biggest issue here is that wait time. That wait time can decrease and dilute me. Because they're not gonna, let's just say it was supposed to be a 7-minute between pickup and drop off. They were paying $3.15. But because the passenger making me wait, instead of 7 minutes, this trip ends up taking 10 minutes. Where I need to make $4.50 in 10 minutes. So now they done took 10 minutes, and now Lyft only added an extra 5 cents or 6 cents to the $3.15. So that puts me under what I need to make in 10 minutes. This is why I say it is very complicated dealing with these apps. Because even if you go by this chart, it's always going to be somebody that slows you down. You can show up, blow the horn. You can call them and say, hey, the app is very accurate. I'm going to be there in 3 minutes. It don't matter if they're not ready. Then you got those people that come out to your car. Come all the way out to the car. And they open up the door and they don't say anything. And then you already swiped to start the ride just by mistake, being presumptuous because you're already frustrated. And then they say, hey, I got to run back in and grab my wallet. I just wanted you to know. Or they come up to your window and they waving and stuff or whatever. And then they like, hey, I'm trying to find my wallet, man. Do you mind waiting? Dudes, you already know you got 5 minutes. You done walked all the way out here instead of being in the house looking for your wallet. You done came all the way out here knowing that I'm still waiting. And I got to wait if I want to receive a whole little $2. And I just drove 5 miles here. So no, I'm not about to sit here and pull off on you. I'm going to go ahead and wait because I ain't got no choice if I want to make whatever to give the ride. But don't be ridiculous about it and be in the house for 10, 15 minutes, and you don't even live alone. You could have went on ahead and left and just let the person you know that you live with know that, hey, I don't have my keys. So, again, if I could base everything off of this chart 100% of the time and I can make that money consistently, I would have no problems. Now, if you are looking at this chart and you're thinking, oh, hell no, I wouldn't do none of that at all. Well, at the bottom of the chart, after I break down each one of the minutes, at the bottom of the chart, 45 cents per day. And I'm sorry, on this chart, I don't have, oh, there it is. Nope. Okay, so on this one right here, I don't have it. But here's my 36 cent per minute chart. And on this chart, I do have it broke down. $21.60 an hour. That's 12 hours, $259.20. Gas, $40 equals $219. $219 times 7 equals $1,533 after gas. 4 weeks, that's $6,132 a month after gas. And on it goes into yearly. After gas is $73,584. Spend on gas is $14,600. So in that year, I'll make $73,584 if I go based off of this chart. Now, am I going to take a ride? Am I going to take a ride where between pickup and drop off it's going to take 50 minutes for $18? Hell no. Hell no. I know that I'm only going to be able to do one ride that hour. I already know. I know they're not going to send, everything's going to work out to where I get to the pickup and the person is ready and I take them to the drop off and everything. I'm not going to get another ride that's going to be 10 minutes between picking up from the drop off location, picking up and dropping off, and I get paid $3.60. I know that's not going to happen. That's why I'm not going to take a long trip like that. I just have it broke down kind of for cinematic reasons. But what I usually do is I have my calendar opened up on my app. I'll have that opened up and I will switch back to the calendar because I'll have it marked as, what was that, the 45 cent? I have it marked as 45 cent. They send me a ride request. And when a ride request comes in, it says 15 minutes and boom. It should be $6.75. That's a lot easier than me opening up this and scrolling, okay, 15 minutes and then coming back to the Lyft app and then, declining the reception. So I just usually type it into my calculator. My calculator already says 0.45 and it's already ready to multiply. I just add up the time, click it in on my physical calculator. Not my digital one on my phone, but on my physical calculator, I type it in, and then I'm like, okay, all right, cool. That meets my criteria, or it don't meet my criteria, and then I hit the X button. Now, I'm about to go online. It's 10:30. I got a 10% turbo. Whoopee on that one. And then there's no more turbos for me, at least not for the upcoming times. I don't get another turbo till 1 p.m., and I have to, hopefully I can go get my daughter from Mansfield tomorrow. And if you just wondering where Mansfield is and how, that would be Mansfield right there. And you can see how far that basically is. And so, yeah, it's 104 miles, 2 hours and 16 minutes. I got to drive tomorrow. But again, I don't know. I got to sit here and talk to her mother to find out what's going on. And I shouldn't be going over personal business. But anyway, hopefully somebody has found this helpful. I try to drop little gems and everything. If you have if there's a video or some content that you want me to put out about Lyft and Uber, if you have questions about the app or anything, put it in the comments. I'll either do a video on it or I will just, send you a comment on how to figure this or that out. I appreciate you. I hope you like, share, and subscribe.